Welcome to How to Be a Couple with me, your host, Giuliano Gramado. There is a certain paradox when it comes to love that I have discovered, and I want to share it with you in this episode. So, I normally talk about things like when you're like advice for when you're in a relationship, but this has kind of come up recently in my interactions with people on social media. And I will say that it does affect you when you're in a relationship as well. But this is mostly about like, oh, before you're in a relationship. What's cool though, like I said, is that it's, going into a relationship, this would be helpful, but also once you're already in one, getting to this point is also extremely helpful as well. So I'm going to go ahead and explain this paradox, and I'll let you apply it to your specific situation based on whatever you feel like you need it to apply to. So, in my experience, this is what happened with me. And I'm not saying that this is a rule, but this is I pulled this paradox from what happened to me, and I've seen it as a pattern in other people as well. So, one thing to know about me, if you don't already, is that I got married for the first time when I was 19 and I was divorced at 21. Um, it's kind of funny because this is probably a weird thing for a guy to say, and like especially as like when I was a kid and I was a little boy, this is weird, but it is what it is. I'm just going to be honest. Like I always wanted to get married. This is why I'm saying it's weird, right? I feel like it's normally a thing like little girls say is like, oh, like they think about getting married. But I remember like being with my cousins when I was a kid and like having sleepovers and talking to them, and be like, who do you think you're gonna marry? Which is just it's hilarious to think about now about like this little boy wondering who he's gonna marry one day. You're like, it seems weird. But my point is that I'm telling you this because ever since I was a little kid, I was thinking about that. And then, ended up getting married super early. I got divorced super early. Then I was single for 5 years before I met my now wife. And during that time, I was desperate, right? I was like looking for it constantly. And it was like every woman I met was a potential someone for me to potentially marry. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have that view, but my point is that I felt like I needed someone to love me. And when I got to the point where I realized I don't need someone to love me because I love me, that's when like instantly my wife, now wife, appeared into my life. Um, like genuinely, it was probably within a couple months or something like that that I met her. And um, I don't know if I've shared this before on here, but we met like from the day we met to the day we got engaged was 4 months. And from the day we got engaged to the day we got married was another 4 months. So I met her, and 8 months later, we were married. Um, Now, I'm not encouraging people to do that. And I'm not going to say that, oh, that's exactly how it's going to work out for you. But my point is that you're like you being in a relationship and like finding your person, um, if you believe in that, is in my opinion contingent upon you loving yourself. When you need someone to love you, that's when it's going to be difficult to find someone, or that you're going to end up being with people for the wrong reasons. This subject, so one of the things I talk about a lot is how the happiness of your relationship is based upon how much you grow as a person, right? The more you grow as a person, the happier you will be in your relationship, the better relationship you will have. And I think it starts even before you're in a relationship. This is why I say this, because personal growth, obviously there are a lot of ways to improve as a person. There are some that are very like tactical and kind of surface level, I would say. Um, and there's others that I believe lead more into like your internal happiness. Like ultimately to me, growing as a person is not just like, hey, I just want to get better. It's like, yeah, that's true, but why? And it's just ultimately like to be happy, right? It's kind of what everyone wants, is to be happy. And so we all like pursue different things to make ourselves feel happy. But in my opinion, the ultimate like personal growth journey is to love yourself even more. And when you get to the point where you love yourself so much that you realize I don't actually need another person to love me in order for me to feel loved, I love myself, that's when it's so easy. So, this is the paradox, right? The more that you need someone to love you, the harder it is to find it. And like I said, sometimes when you do quote unquote find it, you're finding the wrong things. Okay. When you need love, you're creating pressure in your relationship. Um, See, this is another subject that's kind of funny, is that a lot of times in marriage we think like, oh, my partner is there to fulfill my needs, right? And you think that that's kind of what it is. We both agreed to fulfill each other's needs, but I don't believe that. I believe it is your own responsibility to fill your own needs, and your partner can contribute to that, but it is not their responsibility. Okay. There's so many things I've just dropped in the beginning of this episode that we could talk about on other episodes. We're going to keep talking about this, but we can get into that more later. Um, when you put pressure on your partner to fill your needs, um, it's pressure, right? That's something that is like negative. Okay. But my point is, when you love yourself and you don't need someone to love you, the relationship becomes this like beautiful extra thing, which is so funny because, obviously people want, they want this thing where it's just like, oh my gosh, I need you. I need you. I totally disagree with that. I think the more that you feel like you need your partner, um, I don't even have like the psychological term to describe this. I don't know what it is. But the more you feel like you need your partner, I feel like the less, I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's, experience and say, oh, you're immature, but that's what it feels like, because I look at myself and I go, oh yeah, that's how I felt when I was very immature, right? Was that, oh, I felt like I needed someone. And when I was with someone in particular, I felt like I specifically needed that person, right? But the point is that you get to a point where you love yourself so much and you appreciate yourself so much that that need to feel loved is already filled, which means once you're with someone, it's a choice, right? And you're with that person because you love them and because of how they make you feel. But it's not because, oh man, I really needed that hole in me filled and this person filled it. It's like, no, no, I'm complete and I'm whole on my own. And this person being here just makes my life better. A lot of times when you feel like you need love, let's talk about what that looks like. Um, you're looking for someone to validate your worth. You want someone to fix that feeling that you have of loneliness or insecurity, and you hope that this other person will make you feel complete. That's something that it's like a very common thing, right? Like, you complete me. And again, it sounds romantic, but ultimately, when you do that, you are putting the responsibility of filling your emotional needs on your partner. And that's just simply not fair. It's just also not how life works. It's not their job, right? Okay, like again, I've talked about this before about divorce. Realistically, half of all marriages end in divorce. Okay, let's fast forward. Your marriage ends in divorce. Now what? Those needs are just not going to be filled. That's the point, is that it is your responsibility to find ways to fill your needs. And one of the best ways to fill your needs is to just give it to yourself, right? That, like I was talking about, people validating your worth. Like, you're looking for someone to validate your worth or fix your loneliness or fix your insecurity. So what does that mean? You need to value yourself. You need to feel worthy. You need to feel secure in yourself. Those are needs that you need to fill for yourself. And this is why I talk about how important personal growth is, right? When you grow as a person, you make sure that your own needs are fulfilled, then your relationship can be amazing. But the problem is, a lot of people put that responsibility on their partner, and it turns the relationship into a job, into an obligation. And also, your happiness then depends upon your partner, and it's their responsibility. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like, ultimately, like, if you really put yourself, you're like, okay, I guess that's kind of true. Like, why would it be their job to make sure that I'm happy? Right? I think happiness is like a good example, for all of these other ones. Like, you would never say like, it's my partner's job to make me feel happy. No, it's not. Right? And so the same is true. Carry it over to other things. Well, it's my partner's job to make me feel loved. It's not. Oh, it's my partner's job to make me feel secure. No, it's not. It's my partner's job to make me feel worthy. No, it's not. It's none of it. None of those things are your partner's job. Your needs are your needs. So it is your responsibility to fill them. So, what does this mean? It means you need to make a shift to loving yourself, right? Of course, there's all these different needs we're talking about, but when it comes to being loved, if you want to feel loved, all you need to do is love yourself. And when you do that, you stop needing someone else to do it for you. You're just fine being yourself. You're secure. It doesn't matter if another person, now, just to be clear, right? I recognize that as a human being, we need people to love us. So I'm not like ignoring that. But what I'm saying is that there's this baseline level of, hey, I love me. I love me. And therefore, great. If someone loves me, okay, cool. That's fine. Like, I appreciate it. And it's awesome. And it's a great experience for someone to love me. But also, I'm not dependent upon that person loving me to feel loved. I feel it on my own. And when you get into a relationship with that energy, the relationship becomes something that you share together, right? It's like an enjoyable experience together as opposed to like a responsibility you're placing on this other person. And what this does is that it attracts like a healthier version of love into your life. Now, again, this could be prior to being in a relationship or prior to being married, but this also applies while you're in it yourself. Like, if you imagine if you are currently in a relationship and you shift this feeling, right? You move towards loving yourself and you truly do love yourself and you don't need love. Like, of course, that's going to have a positive effect in your current relationship. How's it going to change how you show up, right? You're not desperate. You don't feel needy. You're not clinging to your partner, right? Instead, you're relaxed. You get to actually just be yourself and be present. And everything you do in the relationship is a choice. It's not something, it goes both ways, right? I'm not doing this to fill my partner's needs. I'm not doing it because they need it. You're doing it because it's a choice. And again, this doesn't mean you don't do things like when you know, right? Of course, everyone needs to feel loved. Okay. It doesn't mean that you don't do those things. What it means is that when you do it, it's like this beautiful, fun, amazing thing. It's not like, oh, I need to make sure I'm fulfilling this person's needs. Does that make sense? Love then becomes two whole people who are just there to enjoy it. That's what's so cool about this is that when you get to this point, the relationship is just like two people who are choosing to be there, right? You don't feel stuck because you're like, well, this person's filling my needs. And again, I don't think anyone's thinking that consciously, like this person's filling my needs so I need to stay. But subconsciously, that is what's happening, right? Versus if you're showing up to it and you are whole and complete on your own, this means that it's just something you're both by choice there. You're both there by choice saying, man, this is cool. This is fun. I love this. This is a great experience. And that's the energy that the relationship carries. So the real goal is not to find someone to love you. The goal is to love yourself. All feel loved, regardless of whether or not your partner loves you. Now, of course, you want your partner to love you, but you understand what I'm saying. Prior to a relationship, you love yourself. Even when you're in a relationship, you love yourself. And therefore, you get to just enjoy the relationship. The relationship is almost like a bonus, right? This person isn't swooping in to rescue you and make sure your needs are fulfilled. Your needs are already fulfilled, and you just get to enjoy the relationship. Now, in another episode, I can probably talk more about, well, how do I love myself? How do I make myself feel loved without it coming from another person? We could talk about that another time. But for now, just to kind of wrap this up, when you stop searching for someone else to complete you, you create space to meet someone who who simply adds to your life and makes it better. So that's what I got for you today. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. If you want personalized relationship coaching, I have a waitlist going to work with me one-on-one. Just send me a DM that says waitlist to howtobeacouple.co on Instagram, and I'll add you to the list and let you know when a slot opens up. Talk to you next time.